Hey guys, welcome back to another fabulous episode of Live Bold and Boss Up. We are so excited to have you back this week, but we wanted to remind you if you could please follow us, like, subscribe, go into the YouTube channel actually, and type in Live Bold and Boss Up because we are on there. We post all of our episodes on there with the video just for fun, for giggles.
Yeah. And they're unedited too.
Ooh.
So you get to see all the mess ups, which there might be a few.
No mess ups. They're all on purpose.
Yes, exactly.
Just kidding.
But yeah, so today we decided to do a podcast on how to create a podcast because we get this question a lot from people that are looking to create their own podcast. And how do we do it? There's a lot of things that go into it that we didn't even realize before getting started. So we wanted to address these topics. And if you have additional questions, you could always email us at liveboldandbossup@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
So let's dive right in.
Take it away. So yeah, a lot of people have been asking us how to do it. So I think the first thing that you need to think about is, well, what's your topic? What's your name? What do you want to focus on?
Right. Who's your audience?
Who is your audience? That is a big thing.
Yeah. Why do you want to create a podcast in the first place?
Yeah, we didn't necessarily have our audience down, I think, when we first started.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big one because if you can focus in on like a couple different verticals of people, I think you're going to get your message across better.
Right. And you'll create a following
Mm-hmm.
if you know who your target audience is. And then choosing a topic. What is your podcast geared towards? Is it business related? Is it fun? Is it personal? Is it about animals? Is it about whatever your passion is? What is your podcast about?
Comedy even, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different things. There's like horror story, sagas, there's news, there's all kinds of different things. So pick a subject that you're passionate about and go for it.
Right. And I thought this was interesting too. So I think podcast is the new like blogging. And as of November of 2021, so as of right now, there's just over 2 million podcasts, but there's over 6 million blogs.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
I didn't realize that this was the new blogging, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't even really, we've just gotten to like the tip of the iceberg with podcasts, right? 2 million versus 600 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. There's so much potential there. There's so much opportunity for everyone.
Right. So it is a good time to get in, but you have to have it all planned out, right? And be very organized with it. So go back to choosing a topic and a name.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of names out there that are already taken. Actually, this was one of our probably hardest things whenever we were trying to come up with a name, and we obviously chose Live Bold and Boss Up, but some of the other names that we came up with, they were already taken, or then we're trying to make it relevant on, what we want our message to be. So we probably threw like 50 names out there.
We did. Oh my God. That was the hardest name. It's like naming your child.
Right. You have to live with it and love it.
Yeah. Google it a lot. Even go into like Apple Podcasts and try typing in your ideas and see if anything pops up or anything's similar to, because you don't want to be too similar to some of the other ones as well.
Right. So then after that, after you have your name and your topic, your audience, how do you want your show to be formatted? Is this a weekly podcast? Is this a monthly podcast? Like, how is your format?
Mm-hmm.
How long
What's your
is
cadence?
it? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So think about all that. And, you don't want it to be too long, then you don't want it to be too short. And there's not really a rule around the length.
There's not. I mean, I definitely hear of podcasts that are like 2 hours long, but let's be real. Are you going to sit there and listen in one shot to 2 hour long podcasts? Probably not. You're going to get distracted. You're going to get phone calls. You're going to get interruptions. So like Steph and I decided we're going to do like 20 minutes, 30 minutes max. And if it's more than that, we're just going to make it a separate episode or a second episode on top of it, because people are getting to where they need to go in 20 minutes, or they just lose their attention span in 20 minutes. And, we're pushing out content that we want them to remember. So we wanted to make it short, sweet, and to the point.
Mm-hmm. I've even listened to podcasts that were like 6 minutes long.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What do they say in those
it's
6 minutes?
Like a motivational Monday
podcast.
Oh,
Yeah, I like that.
Where on my drive into work, I just want something that's just gonna motivate me or something quick and informational, something I don't have to really pay a lot of time towards, and just have it be a quick informational lesson.
I like it. Quick download.
Listen. Yes. And next, after you have all the kind of the format set up and an idea around that, next goes into kind of more of the fun, creative piece of it. You have to have a cover, and then you're going to have your music, an intro and an outro. So think about all that. And the music piece is something I learned
that was really hard.
Yeah, because a lot of music has, copyrights around it. You can't just pick any music and stick it to your podcast. It has to be something that you're allowed to, replicate and put on your podcast. So there's different areas and different sites that you can go to that has little clips. And so I think that's how we found ours, right?
Right. Yeah.
But it was after listening to a lot. A lot of samples, because you have to feel it. It has to be you. It's the first thing people are going to hear and the last thing that they're going to listen to as well.
Right. Right. Music is important. Intro and outro.
Mm-hmm. And then the cover art. Yeah. I think that's like, do you want it to be your face? Do you want it to be a cartoon? Do you want it to be just words? Something that's going to captivate the audience.
Yeah. That was hard too. We just happened to find a good picture of us together that worked. But we also use, and if you're not watching YouTube right now, we're showing you our logo, but we also sometimes crop out, like, for lack of a better term, our heads, and just have like this part as the logo too, in some cases. So you can kind of make maybe a dual purpose thing.
Right. After that piece, then comes, to me, this was the hardest part. I keep saying that about all of it.
We do. Yeah. And this was the hardest.
But the equipment selection, because this was something I knew nothing about. The mics are very important. The equipment. So we're recording on a Rodecaster Pro. And this is the second thing we recorded on. We started off on GarageBand, which was great, but we wanted something that was easy to use and very simple, user-friendly. And we went with this one. This was very highly rated. Right. And then these mics were highly rated as well.
Yeah, we had a couple different mics before. So we really had to test these out. And these mics that we're using now have like a cover over them, which are really helpful, because if you don't have that cover, it you can hear like every little thing. And GarageBand was fine, but we noticed there was it was complicated to us because we've never used it before. So yeah, the Rode is actually really easy to use.
Yes. And there's lots of fun little things on it as well that we don't even use, sound effects and
oh my gosh, we have never tried.
No.
Here, hit a sound effect button. That sounds like an intro song.
Yeah, so it's fun. You can play around.
Oh, that's perfect right there. Yeah.
Maybe we should use that one more. So yeah, there's a lot of fun things that we actually don't utilize on here, but maybe we will. So equipment is another important piece of it. You want good equipment, you want good sound. And then another piece that kind of goes into that is how you talk into a mic, and how your room is set up, because this is something I learned from my dad. Another shout out to my dad. On the room setup, because the sound waves, they bounce off of each other and you can have noise cancellations, and there's a lot that goes into it that I still don't even know. We don't have the best setup here. You need good sound barriers.
Right. Like if your floor is carpet versus hardwood versus tile, that has something to do with
Right.
the sound. Who knew geometry was going to be important? Because I think that, right, it has to be a certain like
Right. You're in
angle
a certain
to,
distance from each other.
right.
So there's a lot that you can look up on the internet, but all of that stuff is very important to take into consideration. It's not just as easy as just setting up and just going.
Right. We
Although
learned that the hard way.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So after all that, after you have your equipment, room set up, you have everything kind of set up and ready to go. Next, get a podcast host, which another thing I learned about, there's a lot out there, a lot of good ones out there. We went with Radio
Radio
Influence.
influence. Shout out.
Shout out. Which they're a huge help. Like we literally couldn't do it without them. They're the ones, they do our editing, they do our hosting. I believe they do our hosting, or they reach out and found a host. I don't know exactly how they do
What
that.
do you mean by host?
Like Buzzsprout, for example, is a host.
Right. Or they might just push it. Yeah. They might use one of those to push it out to all the platforms. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So we can definitely find out more details. So the good thing about Radio Influence, and the reason why we don't know a whole lot on this, is because they do it all for us. So
Mhm.
they're great. They have quite a few podcasts that they work with. So you can always reach out to them, and they're great to work with.
Mhm.
And then they are the ones that push it out on all the platforms.
All the major platforms for podcasts.
Right. So you have to submit it to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all of those.
Mhm. You know what? We should have their contact information in our show notes.
We will.
So in case you guys need a host.
Yes, for sure. We will get their contact information for you. And then promotion tips, which this goes to the show notes, like Ash just mentioned, which is important on Apple. I know you can put all your show notes at the bottom, include your speakers' names, all the details. I feel like you don't want to go into too much detail because then you don't even need to listen to the podcast.
Right. That's a good point.
But just like a little summary on what your podcast is about and any important information. If you're doing some promotional stuff on there, you can include links down there and how to contact your guests and advertising and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously, if you want to monetize your podcast, that's a whole nother ball game. So much information you can look up on there, but the key is getting your downloads and your listeners, your followers up, which is something that, of course, we're always still working on.
I know, always. That's why we're like, hey, can you follow, share, like, subscribe?
That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
That's how podcasts start monetizing their podcast.
Right. I think the average advertisement wants to see 5,000 to 10,000 downloads, or is it start at 10,000 downloads? And that's per episode. So they want to see a lot of downloads to then spend money there and put an advertisement there.
Right. And then other things just to take in consideration is, do you want a YouTube channel? Do you want a website? Those are just all extra things that you can do in order to help market your podcast and get out there more and get more followers and listeners. You got to create a buzz, create a following.
Yeah. And here on Live Bold and Boss Up, we're all about living bold, right? Bossing up, doing your passion, following your passion. So if you feel like this is something you want to do and you think it'd be fun, try it. If you fail, no big deal. Just learn from that. Just try and do. And I think it'll be great either way.
Yeah. Just have fun while you do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of podcasts that I listen to that only have a couple episodes even, and then they stopped. And
Really?
Yeah, these are more for my kids, because there's a lot of kids podcasts out there too, like sleep stories and even meditation podcasts. And I'll just put one on for them at night, but I'll listen to for them, the same ones over and over, because they're still good, even though they're not, that they don't have that many episodes.
Right. I wonder if there's any kiddo podcasts where it's like actual kids chatting?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
Well, there are. And then I've also listened to ones where a kid will tell the story
Oh,
or a kid will be talking on it. It's really cute.
that is adorable. Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of great podcasts out there. And if you are interested in starting your own podcast, do it. Hopefully this information today helped you on getting an idea or may help you get the ball rolling. You know, we do it to have fun. We do it to connect with our listeners and hopefully share some valuable information.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I mean, follow your dream, go for it. Do it.
Do it.
Well, hopefully, guys, thank you so much for just asking the questions, right? Giving us topics to kind of think about and share with you guys. We really appreciate it. Keep them coming. Live bold and boss up at gmail.com. Of course, you know where to find us on YouTube and all the other major platforms for podcasting. And, you know, really, until next time, guys, live bold and boss up.
Yes.